where we could sit there and say, what do we really see? What do we see us making? And then taking 2 weeks to kind of, over the course of me making dishes or, whoever was trying something, hey, I really love this, or, try this out. Take some time, make it, and then have a real thing that accentuated the beers, where Beer Brewery would be proud to have their beer showcased, and I had a good time cooking and presenting it to people. So that is the hard part with beer dinners, is like, I did put a lot of thought into this, probably more than I wanted to. I haven't had homework in a long time, so having homework is terrible, and that's why I don't go to school. It is fun to sit there and really think about things sometimes. So beer dinners, I've been to a few that were just terrible. And I've been to some that are fun and are a good time, but I like to think that when you do put an extra, a little bit of thought into it, that they can be awesome, that they make the beers a little bit better, like the Oarsman, so.
So here's something, anybody hungry?
I'm comfortable.
Right, so notice that we didn't have to give you guys giant plates of food, right? Everything was served to you in these kind of little small.
Are you hungry?
Popcorn snack packs. Well, Eric's probably hungry. But yeah, keep that in mind, as you're talking to your accounts, or, you guys are you are the account, like, realize that it doesn't need to be, kind of what Eddie talked on earlier, it doesn't need to be plates on top of plates and plates of food. You can work that in, and if you provide, a nice balanced meal that hits all the kind of high points, you can develop a really good meal. The other thing that helps with is your cost control, right? So if you're doing, tons of really expensive meats, or you're jumping all over the place, it gets way more expensive than if you develop, kind of Eddie's point of like, I'm going to use one kind of meat. Like, we're going to roll with pork. You can use a couple cheap pork cuts that go a long way, and that can jazz them up, a lot differently. And you can keep those costs down, so that helps that kind of selling point go in. So
I think that $40 to $50 beer dinner ticket range is going to get more people, and like
Thursday at Silence Place is $30.
There you go.
It's 4 courses, it's 4 beers, and it's $30.
6 8-ounce pours. What do you? 6 or 8 ounce?
We do 6 ounce pours.
6 ounce, yeah.
And the goal was to say, if you're an everyday beer drinker, would you, or even if you're not a craft beer drinker, would you come to this? And that's what we found. We get a lot of people who come for birthday presents. They come for, the husband is really into craft beer, but the wife isn't. 2 girlfriends are treating their friend to a night out. We found all these people who aren't necessarily these beer snobs, but $30, they'll go do something fun.
It's manageable, yeah.
Yeah, and so then from there, it's my job to tell them that it's worth drinking those beers, that it's worth, spending $30 again to come back, as opposed to, here's a $75 beer. I've seen a few menus where it's $75, and you're looking at that menu being like, what the hell am I getting for $75?
Last week was $95.
Yeah. Now, in that case, to a certain degree, you get it. If you're John Brooks, you've earned the right to kind of charge whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
That's just how it gets.
You're not going to get more people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to get more of the casual.
I've seen dinners where there was like loaded fries as the first course, and it was $75. It's like, you got to be fucking with me, man. That can't be true. And I've seen people who try to do 8 courses and they try to make it $60. It's like, well, why are you doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
From a labor point of view, you're not going to make any money. So, from an operator's point of view, yeah, I want it to make money, but at the same time, I want it to get someone to come back in. That's the ultimate goal.
Sure.
Hey Eddie, how often do you go like outside the box when you're pairing? So, for example, we had a dinner we went to back in December where one of the courses, they even announced that this is like outside the box pairing. It was like a very stinky cheese paired with like a Berliner, and like the entire room was just not having it.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself in any of those situations, and like how do you avoid that?
I've done a few. The one that I had was I did a really intense truffle dish. And I truffled some mushrooms with real truffle and truffle oil, and it was expensive. It was just like a bite, and I paired it up with this really bright Beer Brewery lager. I forget which one it was. Anyways, that's besides the point. It was supposed to be this thing that when you smelled it, it was earthy and it was pungent, and you were going to get tons of mushroom flavor. And then there was just a little bit. I want to say that I did some type of cured braise again to go with it, and there was like carrot curls on top. So there's this like little bit of sweetness, crunchy sweetness, and people literally smelled it and were like, I don't want to eat it.
It smelled like a barnyard.
But if you did eat it, if you got a little bit of carrot and some of that truffled mushroom and some of that, the little bit of, whatever I had on the bottom that was cured, it was really good. I mean, like I tried it early in the week. I was like, fuck, man, this is delicious. But people, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to. I mean, they say that aroma. I forget how many things you can smell, but it's in the thousands that your nose can actually break apart and register in your brain, and your mouth has 6. So, I mean, when you think of that, yeah, there's things that when people smell them, they're just like, nope, that smells terrible. But truffles, will do that to people. The foodies out there love truffles. I used to work with Carlos Salazar at Rook, and we were at Oakley's, and he used to always slide me pate. He used to always foie gras pate, and I would just eat it up. I fucking loved it. But there'd be customers who didn't know what foie gras was, who would take a bite and then tell Steve that it was bad. And I was like, no, it's not. Like that,
That's the intent.
It's different. It's fatty. It's huge. It's rich. You just don't really know what it's going to be. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you do some weird shit, and you just got to get ready for people not to like it and accept it, I guess. So it's hard to battle it. You can't tell them to like it.
What's a failed pairing you've done? We've thought the flavors.
Like half of them.
It was like really a big letdown that you thought these things made so much sense. And what's
The first thing that comes to mind is I did a lamb bolognese, and it had some spring peas on top, and I paired it with an amber, and it was terrible. Like the sweetness I thought the sweetness from the amber would go really well with like the sweet pea, that like little bit of like gaminess in the lamb. But I think it was something about the way I cooked down like the carrots and like the tomato paste. Whatever I did to cook it down, it was just obnoxiously, cloyingly sweet. And like when you drank the beer, it just, there was no bitterness, there was no balance. It just tasted like caramel, and so I remember that one. Luckily, Darren wasn't at that dinner. I remember it was Corbin, and he was like, "Oh, it's really good," and I was like, "Oh, no, it's not. It's fucking terrible." So, so you can pander all you want, but it's bad. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them where I wish I would have done it differently, or I baked something, and it didn't come out right. Like I like to think I'm a baker, but I mean, I mess up half the time. I'm not good at following recipes, which is probably why I didn't do good in school. So it all plays into each other. But like with baking, like I can put it in there, and then I just gotta hope it comes out right because it's there, and the dinner's in an hour and a half. And if it's not right, well, that's either it's not going on the plate or they're eating something that doesn't taste very good. So yeah, I've fucked up a few times.
Other questions?
You're not classically trained. You're not,
No, I studied food nutrition in school.
Okay.
And I studied restaurant management. But the people I was taking classes with were not they're dumber than I was, which is shocking. Purdue is a good school, but when they tell you it's restaurant management, they don't tell you that you're not going to learn absolutely nothing about food. So
Got it.
I was a little disappointed when I was done. Like, so there's no food classes. That's what you're telling me. Like, it's just free labor for you guys. But yeah, I mean, I've worked in kitchens since I was
growing up.
13, 14.
Just picked up a little along the way.
Yeah, here and there. Some random stuff.
What's the story behind Dockage Tears?
Oh yeah, that's a long story. I won't
only
tell
know
it
a lot
all.
of
Dan
it,
Dockich and I
so-
hate each other, so that's basically
Cut
it.
YouTube now there. Let's cut the recording and bring it into the Dockage Tears story.
Yeah, Dockich just doesn't like me. Yeah, I don't like
Let's
him.
start.
Nobody really stopped.
It's very mutual. It actually started with me. I take blame for starting it. I was sitting at a Costco. I was going to go in to buy some lawn furniture for Big Love,